How's it going, guys? So, I've just finished watching the Chelsea versus Brighton game. I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot because honestly, it was rubbish. So poor from a Chelsea perspective. We were lethargic throughout, didn't really put any effort into the game at all. I mean, kudos to Brighton, they did their bit, but Chelsea were just so poor. But in a way, this is kind of the perfect result to just highlight how ridiculous the notion of having a God-given right to play in a European Super League is. Yesterday Leeds put in a spirited performance against Liverpool to get a point. Today it was Brighton against us. And it does really prove that these teams don't have a God-given right to think that they're above the teams below them in the league. And the message seems to have sunk in because as of the last couple of hours, the European Super League seems to have just crumbled. There was a huge protest outside Stamford Bridge before the game kicked off, and that coupled with, all this massive online backlash to the whole thing, what's being said by pundits, players, managers, it's all come together and led to Chelsea being the first team to set about getting themselves out of this European Super League. They were followed very quickly by, I think, Manchester City, as well as Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. And as far as I'm concerned, it only took one team to pull out to set all this in motion. The fact that four teams have gone within the space of a couple of hours, that for me is the European Super League done. For me, it's quite clear that not all 12 owners of these clubs were scheming at the same level. There were clearly a few ringleaders kind of guiding the rest, pushing them in the right direction, making them think that what they were doing was the right thing. Clearly not the case. And for all the criticism that's been levelled at Abramovich over the years, saying that Chelsea is just his plaything, he's owned the club since 2003. So I think he does have a connection with the fans, really does have an affiliation for the club. I think he loves the club as much as any fan does. I think that, he thought what he was doing was right, or at least he hadn't enough of an idea of what was going on to realise that what he was doing was wrong. But once he has kind of seen how things have gone, he set about getting the club out of there, and, big respect for that. As it stands, I'm pretty sure that Manchester City are the only club that's, officially started going about getting the documentation ready for getting themselves out of this. Although Chelsea, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, they're all on that same track. There's been whispers as well about Inter Milan, although I haven't really seen anything confirming that. And then the other big piece of news is, of course, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw storming in on Ed Woodward. Harry Maguire basically demanding that he get the hell out of Man United. And it worked. I mean, I have my opinions on Harry Maguire. A lot of them he probably wouldn't want to hear. But one thing that I am quite sure of is that I wouldn't want to get into a fight with him. I wouldn't want to see him angry right in front of me. So, yeah, I'll have to say I'm giving him big respect on this one for being Mr. Man United. On top of that, there has been stories of the Glazers looking to sell Man United as a result of all this. I'm pretty sure that is music to the ears of every single Manchester United fan, but I haven't seen anything concrete. I don't know what kind of money they'd be asking for it. So, I won't talk too much about that because as of right now, I'm not too sure what there even is to talk about. So kind of having a think of what could happen to these teams going forward. I know that the European Super League has pretty much been done away with, but does that mean that UEFA, FIFA, whoever won't still put sanctions on the teams that pretty much colluded against them? Remains to be seen. As I've already said, there were definitely a few ringleaders here. Fiorentino Perez, Agnelli, the Glazers, they're the big boys. So if sanctions were to be put out, would they be heavier on those owners, those clubs? Not too sure yet. That'll all be, revealed as time comes. Talking about the relationship between the owners and the fans of their clubs. For a lot of them, I'd say they're not in a good place. I mean, Man United fans didn't like the Glazers anyway, so if they were to leave, they were to sell the club, United fans wouldn't be disappointed with that at all. I'd say for John Henry at Liverpool, this is pretty much him done. And I'm not too sure what the relationship between Perez and the Real Madrid fans is, but I imagine it'll be fractured after this because so far as I can see, no Real Madrid fans seem too keen on the idea of the European Super League either. A couple of the owners that I think could get away with it a bit lighter would be Sheikh Mansour at Man City because of all the work that he's done in that Manchester area, as Gary Neville has highlighted, and Roman Abramovich as well. I mean, one thing that I noted was the protests at Stamford Bridge. there's big posters and whatnot, and they seem to be saying, Roman, do the right thing. And for the protests going on over at Man United and on Man United's social medias, Liverpool social medias, it basically seemed to be, get the hell out of England, get the hell out of our club, really, really aggressive. Not quite the same with Abramovich. I think Abramovich has built up a relationship with Chelsea fans over the years, over all the time that he spent with the club. So I think that our relationship should remain okay. For me, personally, I think Abramovich should come out of this all right. And yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, if you're a Chelsea fan, put down in the comments if you're thinking along the same lines. Anyway, lads, that'll do it for this one. The European Super League has pretty much crumbled before our eyes just as fast as it popped up. And if you're as delighted about that as I am, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more footy chats, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video.